Hi, welcome to the Instructional Design Ladies channel. I am here to show you some of the resources that we will be using while working and building a course. And so one of the things here is Google Docs. Google Docs is a great tool to collaborate and interact with each other on. And it's important to have some type of tool where you can work with each other and have something that organizes what you're doing. So I like Google Docs because it's free, number one, and we can collaborate and look and see what's happening. So for this course that we are building, we're starting off with the blended learning course. Now the departments are for our logins. So once the students are logging in, depending on what they need, we will place them in departments. Excuse me. And so this course right now is designed for foreign language instructors, but we can add other departments such as instructional leads, leaders that are in charge of the technology. So it just depends on who the enrollee will be. We will assign them to a department, and that way we can easily enroll them into the necessary courses. So right now we only have two departments. That's the foreign language instructors and the instructional leads. I have not done the page for the instructional leads yet. Now our course will be blended learning, and then we're going to break the course into modules. So right now I've planned for 3 modules, but that doesn't mean that it only has to be 3. It can be more than 3 modules. Then we're going to put the lesson objectives for each of the modules because we're going to align that with the learning activities that the students will be working on. Then we have topics. So within the lessons, there are going to be topics that we'll focus in on. So the example that I'm going to use here is goal setting. Participants will set a learning goal for themselves for the course. And then based on the course learning outcomes, they're going to set a goal, and that's going to be the objective. Now, we can easily assess that because we can see if they picked something that was aligned to the course learning outcome. Now, as you can see, we have prerequisites. Status, is the course live or not? If it's live, what date did it go live? Who is the subject matter expert that we're going to be working with? Who is the instructor of the course? It could be the subject matter expert as well. Given videos, what video version? Now, it could be the first time I recorded this video, so that'll be version 1. If I had to re-record it, I will put version 2. So we want to keep our versions, and the way we label the videos, we're going to label it according to the version. So if we notice that we did a mistake and we have to go back and re-record, we'll call it, course 1, lesson 1, video version 1, video version 2, whatever. And then when was that video last updated? Because we want to keep track of the times. Assets. Are there any materials that need to be developed to help the students meet that objective? So it could be PowerPoints, it could be a voiceover lecture, it could be an animation. We're going to put that in our assets. And then when were the assets last updated? Because we know that knowledge changes. So we always have to keep our assets up to date based on the times. So this spreadsheet will kind of keep us organized in what's happening here. Now, I will be receiving some manuscripts from the subject matter expert. Now, the manuscripts will be set up for the modules. So, as we saw earlier, we're going to have the overall course, but the course is going to be broken down into modules. And then the modules will be broken down into lessons. So if we look at the module, here is how we're going to keep ourselves organized. Now we have some reviews. The instructional designer will review. The assessment developer will review. We have the development lead and then the development manager. Those are people that typically is on the board who is helping govern this project. They're going to review, put the date and their name. Now, we don't submit it to them until we get at least 3 lessons done, because we don't want to waste their time. Here's lesson 1. How is that? Here's lesson 2. How is that? You want to give them a good bundle of things to review, and then we get a good amount of feedback. So that way, when we go to do the second rewrite, we know exactly what they are looking for. All right, so here we have the module. So here we have module 1, and these pages are aligned with this document. So right now, module 1 page, we don't have it yet because we have to get everything complete. So whatever page title is here, then that page title will go here. So we don't have it complete yet, but we will once the subject matter expert fills in the information. Then we have the lesson objectives. So we're going to pull that right from what was in this table here. So if we have goal setting, lesson objectives, we're going to have them all kind of listed out here. So we'll be able to put the lesson objectives here. Related competencies are going to come from the board. So they're going to align the course with their competencies based on the international standards. So right now we're leaving this blank. The only thing that we're focusing on is the lesson objectives. Now, we want to always introduce a module. So if this is module 1, we want to introduce that first module and tell them, okay, in this module, you'll be doing A, B, C, and D. So we'll have the outcomes listed here. And we want to make it pretty because in the actual website, we want to have like some type of image. So we call that a visual anchor. And that is kind of like a hook to pull the learner in. And for copyright sake, we have to cite the image. So we have a citation here, but also if our learners have some disabilities, we want their software to be able to access everything. So for SCORM and ADA compliance, we typically put a description in. So if it's a woman standing at the chalkboard, we'll put that there. If it's a student on a computer, we'll put that there. So something that their technology will let them know this is an image of a woman or a student or child or what have you. The alternative text is just that it's just another way that computers go through and read these various images. And so that's if you want to put alternative text, it could be a description, another small description. Okay, and then for the introductory text, we're going to put it here. So intro to the topic here. So we have the module introduction. In this module, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. And then we introduce the topic. So the modules are actually broken down into lessons. So that really should be intro to the lesson and lesson topics. So let's put lesson and lesson topics. Intro to lesson topics text here. So then we get into our lessons. So here we have lesson 1. Well, it's going to be the title of that. And we again align it with the outcomes. Now, we're not going to worry about that right now because, like I said, the board is going to sit down and align those. But now we have a lesson. We're leaving from the introduction to the module, and now we're going into the actual lesson. So lesson 1, you need some type of visual anchor. And it doesn't necessarily have to be an image. It could be a GIF. It could be a short video. So some type of anchor that pulls the learner in. Now for this lesson, you might need some assets. So that will be any readings that you want the learners to do, any media you want them to consume, and any resources that you have created for that particular lesson. Now, it does not have to be you. It could be the subject matter expert that has created. But we want to capture that here because we want to keep a record of all of our assets. Because I think here we have assets. So we want to keep a record. And that's going to go here. And then Any access info. For example, if the asset is housed in Dropbox, maybe they need to go and pull it from here. Or if it's housed in a website or wherever it's housed and they're going to go access it, they can click that. And then whatever introductory text that you need to explain those assets. Okay, so we have your outcome. You're going to do blah, blah, blah. And then we have a picture. And then we actually have the lesson itself. Read this or watch this or complete this, whatever it is that you want them to do. Now, it's key that we have an assessment at the end of every lesson. So we do a quick assessment check. And this questionnaire, this formative assessment question template lists the different assessment types that you can do. You can do multiple choice, you can do drag and drop, you can do fill in the blank, you can do a short answer. It just depends on how you would like to assess that. So we're going to put that here. It's going to be our lesson title, whatever we titled this lesson. So lesson 1, whatever that title is, we're going to use that title here and then lesson number here. Okay, so that's how we're going to keep up with our assessments and what outcome is being assessed. So that's based on this outcome up here. Okay, and then any additional elements that are needed, any additional reading for enrichment. Maybe you want to give them a glossary of words or definitions. Is there anything additional that you think that would benefit the learner as an extension to what they just did? So we can add that here. And then we're going to cite our sources. So if there's any references that we're using, we want to be sure to cite those sources and put that there. So that template that we used for lesson 1 is the same exact template that we will use for lesson 2. Okay, so we'll have our outcome and then we'll have the visual, something that will hook the learner because visuals are important, but we also want to keep the learning science in mind. We don't want to put something that's crazy and distracting, but something that brings the learner in. And I recently learned that students need some type of little break in between. So it could be that after they do lesson 1, before you do lesson 2, maybe you're going to give them some type of riddle or some type of something to get their minds off of the content and on something else that's fun and lighthearted, and then bring them back to the content. So in between, that actually increases learner engagement and learner processing. That's what I'm trying to say. Learner engagement and learner processing. Because when you give them that little distractor that's lighthearted and fun and, it has nothing to do with what they're learning, it resets the brain and gets them ready for lesson 2. So now we proceed and we'll use the same exact template that we did for the other one. So that is kind of like how the modules are set up. Some people think that modules should have 4 lessons. Some people think modules can have 3 lessons. That's something that can be negotiated. Right now, I just put 2 lessons for this module, but depending on the course learning outcomes and what's we're trying to accomplish, we want to make sure that we are not being over ambitious, but we want to be just right. Just right. That's the word that I'm looking for. So we don't want to be too lean and we don't want to be over ambitious. So finding that fine balance can be quite a challenge, but I think we can do it. So this will start us off. This will be our organizing tools that we will use. The subject matter experts will complete the module manuscript for us. Once we receive that, I will plug in the necessary information into our spreadsheet, and this will kind of keep us organized and on the same page. And then we will proceed to go into the actual website and upload the content. So that'll be in the next lesson. All right. So I hope you've enjoyed this. and I'll see you in the next lesson.